The lost civilization of the planet Mars destroyed by nuclear weapons could be us. After many decades of studying the red planet, scientists are now telling the truth, admitting that there was a very high possibility that an asteroid or comet changed the red planet completely. Compared to planet Earth, Mars has a lot of impact craters, which is not surprising given that Mars is in a very unpleasant position in our solar system, right next to the asteroid belt. Because of this course, Mars is usually bombarded with asteroids, unlike Earth. Mars has no moon to protect it from asteroids. Well, it has two small moons, yes. Now, the moon is something of a keeper. So looking back at our history, we know that the Earth has been impacted in the past by large space rocks, and some of them have had impacts that have changed the history of our planet. One of the best examples is a crater located in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, which many leading scientists believe was the #1 reason for the extinction of the dinosaurs. And this is the underwater impact crater that the geologists have ascertained that is there. Now, the crater, if this happened here on planet Earth, could something similar happen on Mars? Actually, on the red planet, we can find an extremely interesting crater, and it's about 125 miles in diameter. It is a big crater. The sheer extent of the huge crater tells us how powerful its impact was, and it could be one of the main reasons why Mars today is literally a desert. The main question is, was it possible that long before the loss of the atmosphere, Mars had life? Well, we know, and I'll direct you to the playlist I have of the Emerald Tablets written by Thoth the Atlantean. He claimed that Mars had a temperature, atmosphere, and sustaining life as our Earth did. In fact, he said that an exiled general and his entourage were buried on Mars, the general under a face, and his entourage nearby the face under pyramids. Now, on July 20th, 1976, after a 10-month journey from Earth, Viking was to reach its destination, the red planet. The images Viking sent back to Earth were amazing. Some of the stunning images showed that Mars was no different from Earth. Many areas on Mars resemble places on Earth, such as Death Valley. Now, even potential civilizations that once called the red planet home, if this is the case, then where did the Martian civilization come from? And most importantly, had it survived? Could it be that they escaped to another planet? And then does this mean Mars could be connected in any way to our Earth? These are just some of the many questions that can't be answered yet. Dr. Levin Gill designed one of the tests on the Viking probe, a relatively simple test. Microorganisms breathe like you or I or whatever, and they emit carbon dioxide. At NASA, they took a small sample of Martian soil, placed it in a small container, and this container within a week had indications and bubbles inside the tube. The test for life on Mars was positive, and that was huge news. But here's a funny, predictable thing from NASA. While the test had set a positive life result, other tests with different criteria, unknown to us, had a negative result, perhaps intentionally. The people at NASA were very careful about this and chose to say there is no evidence of life on Mars. Many leading scientists have suggested that Mars may have had an atmosphere very similar to Earth's in the past, and that it was destroyed about 65 million years ago. Some have also stated that it could have been destroyed by some kind of weapon that destroyed this planet, nuclear weapons like we have here on Earth. In the recent past, they narrate the possibility that the civilization that once inhabited Mars may very well have fled to our Earth, and thus they created this human race that in reality we are Martians. There are some scientists who say they have found strong evidence of lost civilizations on the red planet, and in fact they believe that they may have discovered a nuclear explosion in the Martian atmosphere that matches the nuclear tests on Earth, as mentioned. And according to scientists, there are traces of xenon 129 on Mars, and the only process we know of that produces xenon 129 is a nuclear explosion. So is that evidence that a nuclear explosion did take place on Mars in the past? Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.